Okay, I wasn't exactly sure what this week's video is going to be. I'm going to speak really fast because my memory card's flashing at me. I think it's nice to like just show bits and pieces of my week. I actually thought, you know what, let me show kind of what I get up to on my laptop and kind of like my virtual screen time and like what I do, because I think I've spent about 65% of lockdown in front of my laptop. So yeah, I just thought I'd take you through kind of recently what I've been doing. I like spent a whole week kind of updating my portfolio. So all of my films and kind of like filmic work, my show reel, my essays, and then like just some of like selecting, I guess, what I think of like the best of my graphic design work, because I've been applying for jobs lately because I work part-time retail, but obviously like, you know, I finished uni, I want to get like, you know, a job in the industry that I studied for, and I have this really cool internship that I've been doing, and that's great, and I feel like I have a really good feeling that will probably open up some doors for me. But I just also want to be proactive and like start applying for as many places as possible. Always felt like my portfolio that I had just wasn't as good as it could be. So I kind of went for a really minimal vibe and aesthetic, like with the kind of gradients and then kind of white. I'll actually link this really awesome like webpage. It's on Arena, which is a really cool kind of like, it's like Pinterest and Tumblr, but like way cooler, and you pretty much can like save any kind of media and interact with it, but it's like less social. And I found this one folder by this one guy, pretty much just kind of like all these really amazing kind of web aesthetics. I'll link it in the description box if you want to check it out, and like if you're thinking of doing your own website or just like need some kind of like inspiration. It's just cool to browse through as well if you're totally not into that stuff. That really helped me a lot. So let's see, when you go to like the film page, it shows you my reel, and then kind of like all of my films. And this was like, I don't know, I think the film page is probably the hardest to design and do. So I have a couple of short films that I really like, just like show people, so when I do kind of apply to like, yeah, like I have made a film, I've written a film, I've directed a film, like I've, you know, done a whole bunch of stuff with it. And then all my essays. Now, I kind of realized that I haven't really done a lot. I used to work for my friend's magazine, Gat. He had this really cool kind of like Melbourne indie-based kind of underground magazine that kind of just reported on like things that people are doing in Melbourne, like artists and like relevant news and all that. And then I used to have like a blog way back when called Frank and Oracle, where I used to put like all of like, I don't know, like essays and random things on it. I took like, kind of like the best pieces from that and put it in here. Also, I wrote for Sukbang magazine. I don't know if it ever actually got published, but the editor like did reach out to me to write a few things for them. But this one was super fun to write. This was like right at the start of the pandemic, and I really enjoyed writing that. This is really cool. I really like this page. So I did like these 3D GIFs and put them kind of throughout as like the titles, which I think is super cool. And the coolest part about this design is that like you as like the viewer on the website can just like drag these around and move them however you want. You can like click on it and then it'll like show up like wider. This is a Soul Bass scene that I did for one of my film theory classes. This is a short film that I pitched. I loved this film. The script wasn't as good, but the pitch was great. And then this is the most recent short film that I did. I'll probably do a whole video on like this and what it was actually like and all that stuff. The trailer's actually up on my channel if you want to watch it. I'm really proud of the way it looks. I think it's a really beautiful film, and I worked with amazing, talented, really cool people. I also spend a majority of my time on my computer just kind of like on Pinterest. I love Pinterest. You know how people have like vision boards and like they cut things out and paste them, like put them up on their room? My friend Belinda has like a live vision board where she like just like puts different like quotes and pictures and stuff like that. For me, that's Pinterest. I kind of really just curate my dream life and the things that I want and all that kind of stuff. So this summer in November, we've booked like a nice little getaway. I have already immediately gone into kind of like holiday planning. It's got me thinking like what I want to wear in summer, what I want to wear on the trip. It's just like a mood board. It's like when I do go shopping for it, I know the kinds of silhouettes that I'm interested in. I know the kinds of colors that I'm interested in, and just genuinely the vibe. I really see like, oh, I have such like an acquired taste for like bright, bold colors that are kind of like also monochrome. I'm not really a big fan of prints, and I like things quite minimal, silhouette and cut and all that kind of stuff. We all recently saw this photo of Zoe Kravitz wearing this, and I was like, oh my god, it's so beautiful. But it's like $300, and I'm like, $300 for a silk slip? You know, like I'm not there yet. I might try to find a replica for this because, oh my gosh, first of all, anything Zoe puts on is going to be amazing, so like I'm not even gonna try. Okay, my memory card did me dirty and I have no idea where I left off, but I also thought I would show you something else that I'm working on that isn't shopping or Pinterest related. It's actually just like the process I go through when like creating like a short film. So basically I've kind of been doing a bit of research into like post-black art and what that means. So yeah, you can just pause the screen and kind of read if you're interested in that. Yeah, I was having a conversation with my friend about this, and I feel like a lot of art, especially art from black people, is always measured against kind of like this wokeness factor. Anyway, I'm just trying to like explore that because not only as a filmmaker but a black woman filmmaker, there's already like a lot of, I guess, preconceived notions about who I am or like what I'll make my art to be. And a good example of that is actually when I did my final film, which once again, the trailer is in my YouTube channel. That, like, I wrote it, it was literally just supposed to be a story just about like two young people on a date, figuring it out, having fun, kind of banter. And it was really simple and pure and wholesome. Kind of like Richard Linklater's The Before series, like kind of like people just walking and talking. That was pretty much my film. And then I kind of felt like I had to like inject pseudo-political ideas into my film. Okay, this is me Saturday morning editing this back, and I guess what I was trying to say is that I felt as if I had to politicize the themes of my film in order for it to be deemed valuable or radical enough. And while at the time it felt like these feelings were self-imposed, like this was just coming from me, I later realized that this passive message is actually put upon like minority creatives all the time. I just felt like that was the messaging that I had to put out. That if you're not putting in something about struggle, about your race or whatever, that work isn't deemed valuable enough. Or at least if it's not put about in a way that's really palatable, digestible, and understandable for white people and non-minority people, you know? And I think, honestly, it was worse off for it. Anyway, I've completely gone off into a different tangent. Yeah, so I've been getting kind of ideas so far from Lorna Simpson, who is this really great American photographer, filmmaker, and artist. And then I was also going to do Matt Wolf, who's also like an American documentarian and filmmaker. Earlier in the year, I had done like, I guess, kind of try to do kind of like this testing series of like what it looks like to do fly on the wall documentary from the perspective of the subject in the documentary. Yeah, and I just kind of played around with kind of like my, what do you call it, photo booth camera on my Mac, and kind of like really trying to see how authentic and genuine like moments can be when they're filmed by the subject. And yeah, just like quotes that kind of speak to me, and kind of like a synopsis of what I actually want to do and write. So yeah, that's something else that I've been doing on my laptop during lockdown, just kind of trying to come up with ideations and ideas of what to create and what to make. And I think so far I really want to explore documentary filmmaking. I think during lockdown as well, however, I think it's looking to get extended, unfortunately, but I really want to try and make a documentary about my brother, actually, which you'll find out about when he's watching this.